Hello everybody. Let's decorate our album and we will be good to go. So I'm super excited. This is our final journey on this. I know this is the funnest part. It's kind of like, to me, like you're graduating and moving on and getting ready for the next album. So what I want to first do is I've decorated most of the album and I'll show you bits and pieces of what I did. But what I first want to do is talk about the butterfly punch. So this butterfly punch, I said, yeah, go ahead and punch out some butterflies, and I want to show you how I actually colored them and what I did. So I did a couple different color ways, and so I'm going to show you both of those. So the first colorway, again, I am using Tim Holtz ink, just the distressed ink from him. I love it. This is picked raspberry, spun sugar. Hold on here, just let me get my stuff there. And then I do have a bigger cube, but I grabbed this, my fossilized amber, the yellow color. And that's really cool. So what I did on some of them is I just took my spun sugar and I just pretty much inked the whole thing with spun sugar. And that's pretty light pink, and that's going to be semi-hard to see there. Let's kind of pick it up a little bit. I don't know if you can even tell. That's it's a pretty light pink. So if you put those two together, you can see it a little bit. So I did light pink, and then I took my picked raspberry and I kind of then just went around the outsides of it just a little bit. You see that? Let me see if I can zoom in just a tad bit here while I'm doing this. And then I'll try to get this in focus for us. I like to leave the autofocus off because when I leave it on, it jitters, and so I don't like that. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I'll show you. So I just kind of go around, and I did just kind of inked that. So it's just like that. I want to say that I've used 3.5 colors, and you're like, how, Bonita, how do you use 3.5 colors? So this is kind of how I say I use 3.5 colors. So this one, I've got my spun sugar and my picked raspberry, and I'm using the daubers, and all of these supplies you can get at J&S Hobbies as well. It will be in the supply list in the very beginning on my very first section of this tutorial. What I also use, remember I use the Vintage Photo Distressed ink for normally when I do black chipboard and my paper, I usually do it with this, but I haven't really used this one because I did my distressing with the spun sugar. Well, when you take this Vintage Photo and you just go around just lightly around the butterfly, it kind of makes it look burgundy. And then you can also make his little antennas that. But when you do that, and you put the Vintage Photo on it, it looks burgundy. And it may not look so burgundy right at this very moment, but when you put it on the album itself, it makes it burgundy. Okay. So then I also, if I'm using a single layer, I kind of take and I find whatever I can. This just happens to be one of my pokey tools. And I kind of just do a little bit of curling on it and give it a little bit of dimension. And this is a little bit not very big, not very rounded, and kind of push the wings up there. And that makes a three-dimensional butterfly. So before I adhere that, I use, and I like to call this a raise-a-yuppie tape. I like to make up my own words. I use lots of different dimensional things. This right here, I don't even know what you call it, but it is mounting tape for photos. I am going to take this and stick it on 4 places on the wings. And I don't want them to be big pieces because I don't want them to show through. You can use any stuff that you have to make it dimensional. Some people use liquid gel. It's escaping what it's called. I have not been able to find that to use in a tube that would stay, that would be easy to do, silicone. While I'm continuing on to show you, what I also want to tell you is that you need to get this Wink of Stella. You have to have Wink of Stella. I'm just telling you. Again, this is the clear glitter one. I 100% prefer it. And I'm going to go ahead and Wink of Stella this so it'll dry by the time I get ready to use it. So Wink of Stella is just a, this one is clear, and so it just puts a glitter on there. And because we've did that little bit of vintage photo, that, and you put it on here, that kind of makes it look like a gold on there. So I know it's kind of hard to see with the glitter, but you've got to have this Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to let that one set and kind of dry while I create the second one that I made. The second set I made is I took the fossilized amber, and I'm like, where did my thing go? And on my fossilized amber one, I just took and put the fossilized amber down the center, just like that, just a stripe. Then I did the exact same thing. I took my spun sugar, and again, spun sugar is really light pink, and I'm just going to blend that in there. And again, on this side, blend that in. Then I end with my picked raspberry, and you can do as little as much as you want. It just is, there's no right or wrong to this. And then again, I'm going to take my vintage photo. This is my half because I'm just barely using it. And I'm just going to do the tips. And if you've never used these daubers, I don't know how I'd survive without them. I used them in card making. I use them when I ink on my edges. And this one then is similar, but it has that gold dimension. And again, I can just take my something round and kind of curl it. Kind of like you do curling ribbon, you know, long time ago. And again, I'm going to take my dimensional tape that I have to raise it up, and I'm just going to put 4 pieces on, one on each section of the wing. I'm going to put that down there. My table is a mess, just in case you want to know. My table is a mess. Okay, I am then also going to put my Wink of Stella on there, and again, it makes it so shimmery and so beautiful. Okay, so that's basically how I made my butterflies. Something else that you can do, and a few of them I did, is I made them 3-dimensional. And so what we do is you're just going to take a bottom, another layer, and you're just going to ink it up. And you don't have to ink it up completely in the center because we're going to go ahead and cover that. I'll go ahead and do 2 of them. We'll make these 3-dimensional butterflies because I think I'm going to put one of them on the front. And then I'm going to take my picked raspberry and just kind of go around it. And again, it's not going to show in the center. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my inks out of the way. I'm trying to clean this off in case. That's the tough thing about working with a white cover, you guys. You don't want to get your stuff all over. Okay, so what we can do on here is we're going to go ahead and adhere this butterfly, these 2 butterflies together, and we're going to put glue down on his middle section right here. Before I do that, I'm going to grab my pokey tool, this pokey tool, and I'm going to take off the other side of the sticky of those mounting pieces, perhaps, maybe. I might be challenged to do this. Maybe. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to show you how I did this before we jump into how I decorated the album. And then I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to, again, I'm going to glue the antenna and right down the center. And then I'm going to adhere it. I'm going to just touch the center on there first. And then I kind of want to get my wings up a little bit. Well, I guess I should really, the best thing to do is let that glue stick for a little bit first before you do that. So this is a little bit of a challenge. So I kind of got that a little bit 3D. So this one right here, I'm just going to glue it. I'm going to leave the tape, the stuff on the tape, and I'm just going to glue it. And let that set while we go through the album, and then we will mess with it after that. So I just glued the middle of the body, and we're just going to let that dry, and then we'll come back to that. You can also put the stickles on there, and you can, I did a little bit on this one, and you can, you know, scribble it on. You can, come on, stickles. You can, you know, scribble some on. You can make dots. You can type, because that also is very shimmery. So you can do, with the pink stickles that we got, you can do some different fun things with that. Okay, so let's get this out of the way, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the album. You should have it all together by now. We had a few things that we needed to clean up, and I'm going to walk you through that. This stuff, stickles, does not dry right away, so don't be like trying to do something fun and funny with that, because you'll have stickles all over. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through the album and show you some things that I did to make it so much beautiful. Remember, we had got this beautiful flat lace. Again, this is all in the gosh in the beginning about what you need. This is that beautiful, beautiful lace that we also got. We're going to use that. We got this fun bling that we're going to use as well. And then we had flowers from 49 and Market. We had these pretty and pink flowers like this. We had some paper doilies. And then we had a beautiful frame from Shelley. Okay, so we are going to cover the album cover last. So I just kind of want to walk through what we did. So first of all, you want to have a hot glue gun if you can, because that actually on this kind of stuff does really help. I'm going to scoot back out here, and let's, hopefully we're in focus. We'll try to get this in focus here. Okay, so I went ahead already and I put on my large lace and my bling, and I put that on right down the line that we did for our cover, or our spine cover, and I did that on the front and back. I have not yet done a closure. I don't know if I'm going to. I just don't know. And when you see the very beginning of all of my tutorials, will actually show the album, and at that time it's because I will film it after I get done with this, but then I put it first. Does that make sense? Kind of backwards, but I don't know yet if I'm going to put a closure on this. If I do, it'll be the exact same closure I always use, the hook and eye that Shelley also supplies, and with just probably light pink ribbon with that. And again, we used hot glue, and we adhered the hook on this end, and then we hot glued our ribbon on the back end, and you put them on there. So I'm just not really sure, because I want to get the front done first, and then we'll see. Okay, so let's go through what we have. So on this page right here, and I'm just going to pop right down in there. Let me see. I think we can get closer there. I went ahead, and this is our envelope closure, and we're all done with that. And I went and took my doilies that we have. We got these doilies, and I cut some in half, and then I also cut some of them in quarters. So one of the half ones I took, right here, and I used the Pick Raspberry ink on these. This Pick Raspberry, so the brighter pink, and I inked the edges on that, and I just glued it right down on there. Then I put the bling on here. Can you see that bling right there? So I went ahead and I used a hot glue. This would be very difficult to do with just glue. You can, but it would be very difficult. So I went ahead and hot glued that stuff down there. And then these are the 49 in Market, and I clipped off the leaf off of one of them. And these pretty and pink flowers, I want to show you what I did is I have some wire cutters, and I actually just cut that flower right off and just made it a bud. That makes it much easier to go ahead and put on. So I'm going to go ahead and put on this third one, because when you're working with things, odd numbers are always the best. So I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue right on here. And the only thing about hot glue is you get strings everywhere. So I've got string going everywhere. So I just went ahead and put that third rosebud right there. Isn't that beautiful? Again, a half a doily inked with raspberry. Then we put the bling on, and then we put our flowers and leaf on. Cool. Okay, on this page, there is nothing spectacular special other than our page is beautiful, spectacular. Let me get that right. So that is just what it is. And on this page, I love, love, love the spread, our double diagonal pockets. See, this is our butterflies that I told you. I'm gonna zoom in here because I want you to see, and I'm gonna make sure, I hope this is focused, you guys. I want you to see that, oh my gosh, okay, that it is hard to see, but these are the ones that I used. These are a single layer butterfly, but I used the fossilized amber in the middle, and then light pink and dark pink. And then I inked it with that my half color of my vintage photo. And when I use the Wink of Stella, it picks up the gold that is in here. It looks like it has that gold etching on it. So it's very, very, very cool. So on those pockets, get this back into focus here. You know, I myself have a hard time because I have contacts, and it's hard for me to, hopefully that's in focus. So I just put one of those butterflies on each corner of the pockets. Okay, this is our beautiful, fun, three-dimensional layout, and we're going to go ahead and put our lovely flat lace is going to go right on this bottom piece here. So I'm going to grab a piece of black paper, I think, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Hopefully I don't burn myself. I am just going to run glue right across, and I just do a little bit at a time, you guys. And you can use glue for this. You can absolutely use regular glue. It takes a little bit longer to dry, and so I want this to dry just a tad bit faster as I'm doing this video. So I'm going to go do my hot glue, and just be careful that you don't burn yourself. My granddaughter has discovered the hot glue gun. She's 9, and if you give her tape, hot glue, and cardboard, the girl is in absolute heaven. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and get that down. Get my hot glue gun out of the way for one moment as I have strings everywhere. I hope you guys are laughing because literally I have them everywhere. I'm just using this baggie to push it down so I don't burn myself. Okay, so I've just put some beautiful, that flat lace that we got right here. Isn't that beautiful? So I just put that right on that page. And what's cool about this page goes on top, and so that's great. That will, but what I want to do is zoom out, and I want to show you this is the page that has our great stand-up. So a couple things I want to tell you about this. I did go ahead and put our black photo mats in there, and they are 2 3/8 by 3 5/8. I went ahead and did that. Also, what I wanted to tell you is this portion right here, this rectangle, so this is 3 inches by 2 inches, that all should be glued. And I didn't have you glue right over here. So you want to make sure that and you can just pick this up and glue underneath it. You want to have this whole section underneath this 3 by 2. So this part of the rectangle right here and this part of the rectangle right there. So you only have it partially glued, and you want to make sure that you glue right underneath here and then right underneath here. So remember, I also made a few cutting errors, and I added a strip of blingish glittery paper I had because I had my stuff cut wrong, and so I just added that little bling right there. When you close this, and you know, as you give this to people and as you learn to close it, you want to put your hands underneath here and grab that mechanism and help twist it closed and have it go down there. And then you want to lift that up and close that down. Okay, I'll show you that one more time. So again, the heavier this gets with your photos on it, the better it will be, but you want to move your fingers down in here and you bend that closure, and then you just help it close right along there. And then lift that up and then close it. And you can kind of see my blingy right there. Okay, here's another one of my butterflies, and this butterfly is really this one right here. It is three-dimensional with a bottom layer, but it's with the same colors, the excuse me, spun sugar and picked raspberry, and then a little bit of the vintage photo on there. With it does have a little bit of the stickles on it as well, and then I also put some Wink Estella on there. Now, what's cool about this page, you guys, is that is a full pocket. Remember, so your picture will go right underneath there, and there stays your butterfly. Great, huh? Okay, moving right along. Now this right here, remember that was our mechanism to close it with. And we're going to open this up, and guess what? Here's our butterfly right here. This butterfly, again, is made with just the spun sugar and the picked raspberry. Be really careful when you mount this one down. So what I did is I used my mounting tape right here, but I used a very small sliver, and it only went on in between here, these photos, and I put it like right up here, because what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to put your photo underneath there and underneath here and underneath here. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to close this up, and we're going to put this little booklet back and get it down underneath there. Okay, now on this next page was one of the pages that we said we had to come back and take care of. We have a bunch of scraps left, and I just grabbed a oh my gosh, a strip from my stash. If that is not a tongue twister. I did not even have to do the width of it. So this is actually 3/4 by 4 inches. And we are just going to put our glue on there and put that little baby down there. And that's going to finish that section up. Now you'll notice again, I have a little gold strip right here, and you do not. That's because, again, when I was curating it, I accidentally cut that wrong. And I did not want to waste it. And so I just put a gold strip down the middle. That's the only reason that is there. And you guys are the only ones that are going to know that. Okay. Same thing with this. So this is all complete. I did put my photo mats inside of here, and these photo mats measure 3 by 4. 3 by 4, yes. I put those on there to give stability, you guys. Without them, it wasn't quite as stable as I wanted, so I did go ahead and mat those. This is your pull-out mat. We had already matted that. I did go ahead and cut another circle and put a little decorative paper right there. And then because of our size of our photo, mat that we put on here, which we already did that during the last session, I have this strip down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and add this strip here, and it is about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. Let's see here. It's 3/8 of an inch by 6, and again, I just took it from my scraps, and I am going to go ahead and glue that and put that on. Again, I had strips already cut, and so there's a lot of, I could just grab these from my stash. And we're going to talk about our stash at the very end. And you want to make sure, let me put the pin back in my glue. It's so exciting to wrap up, and I have no idea where my, see, it's a mess here. I have no idea. Oh, here it is. It's like I have no idea where my bone folder is, and it is absolutely horrible with sticky glue all over it. Okay, so you just want to make sure that that's good and dry and stuck. So I am not going to stick it down like I normally do, because I don't want it to grab. So I'm going to put it in sideways just until that gets done. Okay, so here we are. Here is another little butterfly that we added, and again, this is done with just the light pink and the raspberry, and then edged with the vintage ink. This also has stickles on it, and what I did with the stickles on this one is I just kind of went around. I followed the outline of the butterfly, and I'll kind of zoom in here and let you take a peek. I followed just right around the butterfly. So it is also glittery there. You can see that. So let's get back out here. Okay. And then this, again, we've already completed the rest of that page. Really didn't do anything extra on that page or this page. These are already all the way done. I can't get a hold of them tonight. With their photo mats, we've already done all of that. Now this one is really cool how I decorated this one. These right here, again, remember, so we had our doilies. I took our doilies and I cut them in half. And I cut several at the same time because it cut better because they're super thin. So if you take and just try to cut one, it makes it a little bit difficult. So I took, I don't know, 4 or 5, sliced them down the middle, and then I sliced them in 1/4. And then I took 3 of them and I inked them with the picked raspberry, and I put them in the corner of each one of these pages. And so isn't that cool? I just love it. Now this is the other page that we had just a few things that we had to add to it. Just very baby scraps. This very first one in the middle needs a strip that's 1/4 inch by 4 inches. I'm going to erase that because I want to make sure that that doesn't stand out. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. This has been such a journey, you guys. I'm so happy that you followed me. This is a very beautiful album. I think it's been, it will be a lovely gift for somebody. That's just 1/4 of an inch. And then the other piece right here is 3/4 by 4. And again, I just took this right from my scraps and just trimmed it down to 4 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and put that right over there. And then that is done. Okay. Then we are down to our waterfall page. And remember I told you on this one, we went ahead and put the magnet is on top of here and right in here. And the reason I wanted to do that is I knew for a fact that I wanted to decorate the top part of this album, or excuse me, the top part of this page with flowers from the 49 market. So what I did is I cut, and I'll show you here in a minute when we do our front cover, I cut the stems and stuff off, and I put this beautiful flower on there, a little baby rose flower, and a leaf that I cut out. Isn't that beautiful? And we could, let me see, let's just take a peek here. Should we do another flower? And I don't know. Yeah, let's go ahead and do another flower right there. Let me get my beautiful hot glue gun and try to, so I get glue all over. And we're just going to go put that down. Okay. So that is the decoration of our inside of our book. So I'm going to scoot all the way out. Isn't that beautiful? And we're going to focus on the front cover. So I'm going to carefully close all these pages. And we're going to talk about the front cover here in just a second. But what I wanted to talk, before I do that, I wanted to tell you about, as I have a big mess over here, you guys, this is kind of funny. I want to talk about your mats. When you saw the album in the beginning, you saw that I had photo mats, and I'm sure you know how to make them. I just want to tell you how I make them. So you have lots of extra paper left on this one. You actually have at least three, I think you have 4 full pages, which if you want to hold on to them, I'm going to try. I do not know if I can accomplish it. I'm going to try to make a mini of my gift portfolio out of them. I can't 100% guarantee I'm going to have enough paper, but I'm going to give it a shot. And you also have all these different pieces of paper left. Now, definitely you'll want to use these as photo mats. You have a couple other things that you want to use as photo mats. You can make as many photo mats as you like. They can be any size that you like. There's no right or wrong about what sizes that you have. So, like this one right here is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. I would leave it exactly that size and make it a photo mat. Here's another one that I have that is 4 1/2 by 4 1/4. Again, I would leave it just like it is. Here's another one. So some of these that you've cut, they're cut that way because how I had you cut in the beginning. These are the ones that make great photo mats. So what I would do is I would take some of these. Well, I did, as you see in when I did my reveal, that I will take some of these and make them into photo mats and put them throughout my book. So that's what I do. But what I want to show you, and also don't throw away this top cover because I'm going to use this right here. Hopefully I'm going to, in my gift portfolio, I'm going to cross my fingers that I have enough, but I can't guarantee it. But what I do is I take my paper, and this one happens to be 4 by 6, and I cut my photo mats that I'm going to mount it on 1/4 inch bigger all the way around. So this is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and of course I've inked the edges, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just glue that on just like I've been gluing my papers on. I'm going to center it in there. Thank goodness I glued it because I can move it. And I'm going to burnish it down on both ways. And there you go. Now we can, because this is white, you don't do this when it's black, because it's white, then I would probably take my spun sugar, because I've been doing that all along, and get a little bit of inking on the edges. Okay? So you can make as few, as many, you can do whatever you want on that. And that's how I make my photo mats. There's all different kinds of ways to make photo mats, and you can photo mat in any way that you would like. There's no right or wrong, and that's just one of them. Okay, and really you want to make sure that the glue is all dry before you start putting it in your book, because if you put them in right away, then this can warp. Okay, so that's how you're going to make your photo mats. So feel free to make as many as you want. All right, let's talk about decorating the front, and then we will be done with this album, and we'll be ready to move on to my next project. So the first thing I want to talk about is the frame from Shelly's. It is a frame. It is actually her design, and it's the white one. And what I did is I went ahead and took this piece of paper, and I'm going to try to go back, and hopefully it will be in your cutting guide not to, I think I did, that said would be to use it with your cover. I'm pretty sure I did. But what that paper looked like was this. And so what I did is I laid the frame on it, and I drew around the outside of this frame, and I drew around here and here and here and here. So I drew that around there, as you can see. And then when I cut this out, I cut out just inside those lines because I want to glue, I glued that to the back. See that? And you don't want it bigger than that because it would stick out. So that's what I did. Now, if you want to give this to somebody and you want them to put something different in here, you can sure make a template for them and draw the inside of this circle or this oval on its piece of paper, and then you can keep this in your album and say, hey, if you want to put a picture of a bride and groom in there, here's the template. You know, so then what you'd have to do is cut that out and just lay it right on top of here. I didn't want to make it so you'd have to slide the photo in and out because I was afraid that what I have designed is not going to work. Okay, so again, you can keep that for them. I think this beautiful, the flowers in here are absolutely gorgeous. So I've also taken a quarter of my doily and I put down here, and then I cut a little piece of the doily, like just a little more piece of it right off the edge of it, and put a second piece down here, just kind of like that. And I inked them also with pink raspberry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out my flowers and kind of give you an idea of what I have in mind for my flowers. And I want to get my hot glue gun close to me so I can put this down. So we can, I kind of like, you know, I'm trying to think, do I want my frame crooked or straight? I'm not really sure. So before I get all gung-ho, I'm going to kind of lay out some flowers in my mind as I have this big mess right over to the side that you can't see. I'm kind of embarrassed. These flowers from 49 Market are absolutely gorgeous. So what I wanted to tell you is these are really thick stems right here, and so I really just chopped them off. And with these things that I have, they're for my bead making. Yeah, I do everything. Yep. I don't bead as much, but that's what it's for. So that's kind of, it will cut them off because it is really, really deep in there. And so we can have, you know, a couple flowers. I kind of wanted a smaller one up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut. So what I did is I actually, you guys, I cut off this flower right here. You don't have to. So I cut that flower off, and I'm also going to cut my leaves off. And this whirly twirly thing. And I'm going to rip this down so I can get the leaf off a little bit. So there's another leaf. Okay, so I'm going to think, I'm going to put, okay, so do we think, what do we think? Should we think we should have it tilted? I need to set this down here. Let's go ahead and put it on there straight. So let's go ahead and hot glue that down. So I'm going to glue all over, and you're going to have to kind of be quick because you don't want this to set up before you put it down there. And you kind of want to run it around there as well. And I'm just going to set this on here and hope I get it straight because that is where it's staying. Remember, you guys, did you see this is my beautiful hot glue gun holder that my mother made me? She needs to make me another one because that one's about had all it's going to take there. Okay, so that is on there safe and sound. So now we're just going to kind of lay our flowers out how we want them before I start hot gluing them down. And again, this is a pretty heavy stem, but I'm just going to kind of lay it out kind of how I want it. And like I say, I took some of the stems out of it because it is pretty heavy. That looks like it looks good there. How's that looking? Do you want me? Let me get in just a tad bit closer, you guys, so you can kind of see what I got going here. And then we have some smaller flowers that we can put on as well. And then we have these beautiful little roses here, and I'm going to clip off a couple of them so we can lay them on our book. I'm just going to kind of lay them around. And what do you think? Well, let's first of all put this one down up here. Let's just get that down there. And we'll go ahead and put our leaves on there. As I have glue everywhere. This is the only reason I don't like using hot glue, because it works wonderful, but you have the spider webs galore that takes you a while to take care of them. And you can make your leaves a little bit three-dimensional as you kind of punch them up there. And we're going to put a little rose right on there. So I get my spider web out of the way. That is so beautiful. We're going to put this big flower down here. Remember the last time on my last album, if you watched me, I ran out of glue sticks. Well, I got more, but I got worried when I went to grab this again because my granddaughter, again, who's in love with the hot glue gun, is just cracking me up. I'm going to cut this one down a little bit. Again, I don't want a large stem because I don't want it to really cause a lot of problemos. So I'm going to glue this one. I'm going to glue the end. And this is just, you know, strictly your preference of how you want your flowers to go on there. And I just this is so beautiful. These flowers are just gorgeous. Oops, that didn't want to stick down there. Okay. And then let's put a couple little roses down here. And we'll see how we got going right there. I got a little curly Q right here that I want to put in right here. And again, I cut my stuff apart because they were really thick, so I cut my stuff apart. And I think that's kind of how we're going to leave it. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. So, so, so pretty, you guys. So pretty. Okay. Well, thank you. Whoops. You know what? Should we put a butterfly on there, you guys? What do you think? Let me zoom out here for a second. I forgot about my butterflies. We have 2 butterflies that we can use. And, you know, I think I will actually put one down here in the corner. I totally forgot about I'm actually going to, well, I guess I'll hot glue it on there. Totally forgot we made those just for this. Okay. There is our finished album. Again, I want to thank you for this journey. It's been incredible. Thank you so much for all your time, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you really soon. Thank you so much.